In a world where transgender voices often struggle to be heard, Black transgender actors face an even steeper climb, battling both racial and gender identity biases. Yet against all odds, some have carved out powerful spaces in entertainment. From underground icons to rising stars breaking barriers, here are 20 Black transgender actors you probably didn't know about. 1. Amia Scott. Amia Scott is one of those people who walk into a room and everyone notices. The hair, the makeup, the energy, it all just pops. She has this big presence. And honestly, that's been true since the beginning. She first made headlines when she was added to the Real Housewives of Atlanta cast. That was a huge deal because she became the first openly transgender woman to be featured in the entire Housewives franchise. A lot of people tuned in just to see her, but she didn't stick around too long. She left after just 1 month of filming. Turns out reality TV just wasn't her thing, but she didn't disappear. Nope. She showed up bigger and better in a scripted series, Star, a drama created by Lee Daniels. And let's talk about her role on Star for a minute. She played Cotton, a character that was messy, strong, emotional, and unapologetically herself. People fell in love with Cotton. She was raw and real, and not just the sassy best friend. Amaya brought so much heart to the role that fans still talk about it years later. What's really interesting is that before she even got on TV, Amia was already internet famous. She was one of those early social media queens. Back in the day, she posted photos that would break the internet. Hair laid, face beat, outfits on point. She was giving beauty influencer before it became a full-time job for most people. Beyond the glam, she has always been open about her experiences as a trans woman, especially in the South. She's talked about facing judgment, pushing past rejection, and finding her voice. And she's funny. Like really funny. Her social media captions and interviews have that quick wit that makes you do a double take and laugh out loud. These days, she's working on a new series called When We Grow Up. And if her past work is anything to go by, it's going to be good. And even when she's not on camera, she stays booked and busy, doing hair tutorials, makeup tips, speaking gigs, and sharing motivational quotes. She's proof that you don't have to choose between being beautiful and being powerful. You can be both, and she's living it. 2. Kitana Kiki Rodriguez. Kitana Kiki Rodriguez is kind of like a cult legend. She came out of nowhere with the movie Tangerine, and her performance was so unforgettable that people still talk about it almost a decade later. She played Cindy, a trans woman who finds out her boyfriend cheated on her and then goes on a wild, chaotic adventure through LA to confront him. The whole movie takes place in one day, and it's intense, hilarious, and sometimes heartbreaking, all at the same time. What makes Kiki's story so interesting is that Tangerine was her first movie. Like, ever. She wasn't some trained actor. She didn't come from a big agency. She was discovered by the filmmakers and basically just trusted her gut. And it worked. Her performance was raw, unfiltered, and totally electric. She brought this wild energy to the screen that couldn't be faked. She was Cindy. No acting school required. The movie itself was a game changer too. It was shot entirely on iPhones, which gave it a super real documentary-like feel. But even with that DIY approach, it hit film festivals hard and got a ton of critical acclaim. Kiki and co-star Maya Taylor were pushed for Oscar consideration, which had never been done for openly trans actresses before. After the film, Kiki kind of disappeared from the public eye. She didn't really do press, didn't jump into new roles, didn't capitalize on the fame in the usual way. And honestly, that added to her mystique. Fans started wondering, where is she now? Is she coming back to acting? But maybe that's part of her charm. She came in, dropped an unforgettable performance, and ghosted like a legend. Even if she never acts again, she changed the game with just one role. That's not easy to do, and it's something most actors can only dream of. Whether she returns to the screen or not, she will always be remembered as one of the faces that shifted how Hollywood sees trans talent. 3. Jari Jones. Jari Jones isn't just one thing. She acts, she models, she writes, she produces, and she does it all while serving looks and breaking down barriers. A lot of people first noticed her when she became the face of a Calvin Klein campaign. That billboard in Times Square? That was Jari. Big hair, bold pose, and a message that basically said, "This is what beauty looks like too." That moment made headlines not just because she looked stunning, but because it marked a turning point in fashion inclusivity. But long before the big ads, Jari had already been doing the work. She was part of Pose and has worked on several independent projects, both on screen and behind the scenes. What sets her apart is that she doesn't wait for permission. She creates space. She builds her own platforms. She collaborates with filmmakers, produces queer theater, and lifts others up as she goes. She's also outspoken. Whether it's about fatphobia, racism, or transphobia, Jari speaks her mind clearly and without sugarcoating. And people listen because she knows how to blend truth with grace. Her social media isn't just selfies and fashion, although she slays in both. It's also mini essays, pep talks, and calls to action. She once said that joy is a form of resistance, and she lives that fully. You will see her dancing in a kitchen one minute and walking a runway the next. She doesn't limit herself, and she doesn't shrink herself down for anyone's comfort. That confidence is contagious. And when she acts, she brings that same energy, big, bold, and emotionally grounded. Whether it's a short film or a supporting TV role, she makes it memorable. She's one of those artists you want to watch closely, not just for what she's doing now, but for where she's heading next. 4. Alexandra Billings. Alexandra Billings is a veteran in every sense of the word. She has been acting, teaching, performing, and advocating since before many of today's stars were even born. Her role as Davina on Transparent introduced her to a whole new audience, but her roots go way back. Theater, cabaret, teaching university-level acting. She's done it all. In 2005, she played Donna in Romy and Michelle. In the beginning, becoming one of the earliest openly trans women to play a trans character on TV. That might not sound like a big deal now, but back then, that was unheard of. She was paving roads before there were road signs. Alexandra's career hasn't just been about personal success. She's a mentor. She teaches, speaks at universities, and shares her life story to help the next generation find their voice. And her story includes a lot. She's a former drag performer, she has been homeless, she has lived with HIV, and she has dealt with addiction. But she has always bounced back. She once said that every stage she performs on is a protest, and that kind of sums her up. She uses her art to challenge, to provoke, and to uplift. Even in interviews, she keeps it real. She will make you laugh, then hit you with a truth bomb so deep you have to pause and reflect. These days, she's working on Queen Tut, a dramedy where she not only acts, but also serves as executive producer. And in true Alexandra style, she's making sure the show gives space to queer and trans voices both in front of and behind the camera. She's not just making TV, she's shaping what TV can be. Yasmin Finney. Yasmin Finney is the definition of Gen Z cool. She got her start on TikTok, making funny, smart, and heartfelt videos about life as a black trans teen in the UK. It was all very casual, just her in her room, talking to her followers, but something about her clicked with people. She had charisma, honesty, and a whole lot of charm. Then came Heartstopper, the Netflix series that turned her into a global star. She plays Elle, a sweet, stylish teen trying to figure out love and friendship. What makes her role stand out is how normal it is. There's no big dramatic coming out scene, no tragic storyline. Just a girl trying to fit in, make friends, and be happy. That kind of everyday trans representation is rare and very needed. Yasmin's presence on the show was a breath of fresh air. She brought warmth, humor, and style, and quickly became a fan favorite. People weren't just watching Elle. They were seeing themselves in her. And for a lot of young black trans girls, that was a first. Since then, she has joined the cast of Doctor Who, which is a huge deal in the UK. That show has been around for generations, and Yasmin is bringing something totally new to the table. Fans are already buzzing about what her role will look like. She is also becoming a fashion it girl. Her red carpet looks are daring, colorful, and full of personality. She's not afraid to take risks, whether it's with a neon outfit or a dramatic hairstyle. She's proving that you can be young, trans, black, and still take up space in big, bold ways. 6. Laith Ashley. Laith Ashley could have stopped at modeling and still made waves. With those cheekbones and that jawline, it's not hard to see why fashion brands came calling. But Laith didn't stop there. He's a singer, an actor, a public speaker, and pretty much a full-on brand at this point. He first went viral after posting a shirtless photo on Instagram. People were stunned to learn he was a trans man, not because it was shocking, but because he looked like the guy on the cover of a men's fitness magazine. And that's exactly the point. Laith challenges expectations just by existing. Since then, he has walked runways, done Calvin Klein shoots, appeared in music videos, and performed live. He has been in campaigns that celebrated pride, gender diversity, and men's fashion. One of his biggest moments came when he starred opposite Taylor Swift in her Lavender Haze video, playing the romantic lead. It was a big, sweet, visually dreamy moment, and it introduced him to a whole new audience. His music is smooth and soulful. He writes about love, identity, and confidence. And when he's not singing or modeling, he's lifting weights, dropping inspirational captions, and giving followers a peek into his everyday life. He's that rare mix of cool and approachable. Laith is often asked what it feels like to be a role model, and he usually says he doesn't try to be one. He just wants to be real. That honesty shows up in everything he does. Whether he's talking about his transition, his workout routine, or a new song, there's always this calm, centered vibe that draws people in. 7. Brian Michael Smith. Brian Michael Smith didn't start off as a TV star. For years, he was just another actor trying to break into an industry that didn't seem to have a lane for people like him. But things started changing when he landed a role on Queen Sugar, a show created by Ava DuVernay. He played Twan Wilkins, a transgender cop, and that small but powerful role changed everything. It was honest, emotional, and real. But Queen Sugar wasn't his first time in front of the camera. Brian actually worked behind the scenes for a while, doing production work, commercials, and side gigs. He even played background characters on Girls, Law & Order, SVU, and Blue Bloods, just not trans characters. That's part of what made the Queen Sugar role so personal. It was one of the first times he got to show up as his full self. Now he's better known as firefighter Paul Strickland on 911. Lone Star, Fox's action-packed drama where he runs into burning buildings and pulls off rescue missions like it's no big deal. But it is a big deal. He's one of the first black trans men to play a leading role on a major network show. That's history in motion. Off-screen, Brian talks about fitness, love, and joy. He's married, he hikes a lot, and he shares pictures of beautiful views and peaceful walks. And he's super into sports, especially football and track. Growing up in Michigan, he played sports all the time, and even coached youth athletes later. There's something very grounded about him. He's doing the work and living the life, quietly powerful, like the kind of friend who doesn't talk a lot, but always shows up. 8. MJ Rodriguez. Michaela J. Rodriguez, or MJ for short, has that mix of Broadway shine and TV magic. You may know her as Blanca from Pose, but before she lit up the ballroom floor on that show, she was already making waves on stage. MJ's background is in musical theater, and she's got the vocals to prove it. One of her early roles was Angel in Rent, and it was clear back then she had something special. Pose didn't just make MJ a star, it made her the first transgender actress to be nominated for a lead acting Emmy. That was huge. Her character, Blanca, was strong, kind, and always putting others first, even when life got tough. MJ brought real heart to the role, and people felt it. Every scene she was in felt honest and warm. Outside of acting, MJ is also a fashion darling. Red carpets? She owns them. Whether it's a tailored suit or a flowing gown, she brings the drama in the best way. And she's got this incredible glow that comes from within. It's like she knows who she is and isn't afraid to show the world. She has talked about how it feels to represent her community. It's not always easy. She once said that being visible comes with a lot of pressure, but it's also rewarding. Her message is simple: live your truth and do it with love. And with MJ, there's always music in the background, whether she's performing live or just vibing out online. 9. Maya Taylor. Maya Taylor made a splash with Tangerine, a movie that broke all the rules. Filmed entirely on iPhones, the movie followed two trans sex workers navigating life in LA on Christmas Eve. It was raw, real, and sometimes funny in the most unexpected ways. Maya played Alexandra, and her performance was so strong that she won an Independent Spirit Award, the first openly trans actress to do so. But even with that award and all the attention, things didn't get easy. Maya has been open about the challenges of being a black trans woman in Hollywood. She talked about being tired of always auditioning for roles that focused on trauma, characters who were broken or victims. She said she just wanted to play a person, not a stereotype. That honesty makes Maya stand out. She's not interested in fame for fame's sake. She wants roles that feel human and real. And when she talks about the industry, she tells it like it is. There's frustration, but there's also hope. She knows the talent is there. It's just a matter of getting the chance to show it. Off camera, Maya loves fashion and has a killer sense of humor. Her red carpet looks are always on point, but she'll just as easily post a selfie with zero glam. She has this cool mix of elegance and relatability that keeps people rooting for her. 10. Alexandra Gray. Alexandra Gray's talent jumps off the screen. Whether she's acting, singing, or just speaking from the heart, she's got a magnetic energy. Most people recognize her from Transparent, but her resume is packed with TV credits: Empire, Code Black, Chicago Med, The Bold and the Beautiful. The list goes on. But even with all that experience, Alexandra has shared how tough it is to get roles that don't rely on cliches. She's been told she's too pretty or too passable to play trans roles, which is kind of ridiculous when you think about it. It's like she doesn't fit the narrow idea Hollywood has of what trans people should look like. And that's the problem. Still, she's breaking those boxes. On Empire, she played Melody Barnes, a trans singer with dreams and drama. It was one of those rare roles that gave her room to be complex, glamorous, and strong. And let's not forget, Alexandra can sing. Like, belt out a ballad and give you goosebumps level singing. Outside of acting, she's also an activist and public speaker. She talks about being homeless at one point and how she built herself up little by little. That makes her success even more impressive. Her story is about rising, even when people count you out. 11. Yance Ford. Yance Ford made history when he became the first openly transgender filmmaker to get an Oscar nomination. His documentary, Strong Island, tells the heartbreaking story of his brother's murder and how the justice system failed his family. The film is raw, honest, and deeply personal. Ford basically opened up his whole life to the world. What's really cool about Ford is that he didn't just stop at one award. He also won a Creative Arts Emmy for the same film, making him the first openly transgender filmmaker to take home that honor too. Before all this success, Ford was already getting noticed in the film world. Filmmaker magazine picked him as one of their 25 new faces of independent film, which is pretty much like getting a gold star in the movie business. Ford grew up in Long Island and his family's story became the center of his most famous work. His brother William was killed in 1992, and the case never went to trial. Ford spent years dealing with this pain and eventually decided to turn it into something powerful. The documentary took him over a decade to make, but when it finally came out, it hit people right in the heart. 12. Isis King. Isis King broke barriers when she became the first transgender woman to compete on America's Next Top Model. This was huge because reality TV wasn't exactly known for being inclusive back then. King appeared on the show twice, once in Cycle 11 and again in Cycle 17's All-Stars edition. She didn't win then, but she definitely won hearts and opened doors. Before her TV fame, King was working as a makeup artist in New York. She had dreams of modeling, but faced rejection after rejection because of who she was. When she finally got on America's Next Top Model, she was nervous, but determined to show the world that transgender women could be just as fierce as anyone else on the runway. After the show, King didn't just disappear like some reality TV stars do. She kept working in the fashion world and started getting more acting opportunities. She appeared in an episode of HBO's Equal, which tells stories about LGBTQ+ history. King has said that she feels like transgender voices are finally starting to be heard, and she's proud to be part of that change. What's interesting about King is how she handled the pressure of being a first. She could have crumbled under all that attention, but instead she used it as fuel to keep pushing forward. She has talked about how scary it was to be so visible as a transgender woman, especially a black transgender woman, but she knew it was important for people to see her story. King has also been open about her journey with gender transition. She started transitioning when she was a teenager, which wasn't easy in the early 2000s. There weren't as many resources or support systems as there are now. But she stuck with it and eventually became a role model for other young transgender people who were struggling with their identity. 13. Peppermint. Peppermint is the stage name of Agnes Moore, and she's one of the most memorable contestants from RuPaul's Drag Race. She competed in Season 9 and made it all the way to the finale. What made her special wasn't just her amazing lip-sync skills, though she was nicknamed the lip-sync assassin for good reason, but also her authenticity and warmth. Peppermint was already a well-known performer in New York's drag scene before she got on the show. She had been performing for years at various clubs and venues, building up a reputation as someone who could really work a crowd. When she finally got cast on Drag Race, she was ready to show the world what she could do. What's cool about Peppermint is that she's always been herself, no matter what. On the show, she was open about being transgender, and she handled questions about her identity with grace and humor. She didn't let anyone make her feel like she had to hide who she was or apologize for existing. After Drag Race, Peppermint continued performing and also got into acting. She appeared in the Broadway musical Head Over Heels, which was a big deal because it meant she was one of the first openly transgender actors to originate a principal role on Broadway. The musical was fun and colorful, just like Peppermint herself. 14. Zaya Wade. Zaya Wade is the daughter of former NBA star Dwyane Wade, and she has been in the spotlight since she was pretty young. In 2019, when she was just 12 years old, she came out as transgender. Her family's support made headlines because it's not always easy for celebrity families to navigate these situations in public. What's amazing about Zaya is how confident and self-assured she seems, even at such a young age. When she came out, she did it with the support of her dad and stepmom, actress Gabrielle Union. Dwyane Wade has been incredibly vocal about supporting his daughter, calling her the strong one in their family and saying she's his hero. Zaya celebrated her 14th birthday with a roller skating themed party in 2021, which looked like so much fun. She has also been featured in various magazine interviews and photo shoots, always looking happy and comfortable in her own skin. For someone so young, she carries herself with remarkable poise. Her dad has talked about how Zaya helped educate their whole family about transgender issues. He has admitted that he didn't know much about it at first, but he was willing to learn because he loves his daughter. This openness has made their family story inspiring to other parents who might be going through similar situations. 15. India Moore. India Moore became a household name playing Angel Evangelista on the FX series Pose. Angel was a transgender sex worker trying to make it as a model, and Moore brought so much depth and humanity to the role. The show was groundbreaking because it featured the largest cast of transgender actors in TV history, and Moore was right at the center of it all. Before Pose, Moore was working as a model and doing some smaller acting projects. They grew up in the Bronx and had a tough childhood, spending time in foster care and group homes. But instead of letting those experiences break them down, Moore used them as fuel for their art. What makes Moore special is how they talk about important issues without being boring or preachy. They are a transgender and non-binary, using both she or her and they or them pronouns, and they're always educating people about what that means. But they do it in a way that feels natural and conversational, not like a lecture. In 2019, Time magazine named Moore one of the 100 most influential people in the world. That's pretty incredible for someone who was still relatively new to the entertainment industry. It shows how much impact they were already having, both through their acting and their activism. Moore has also been open about their experiences with homelessness and survival sex work. They've used their platform to talk about how society fails vulnerable young people, especially LGBTQ+ youth. But they always focus on solutions and hope, not just problems. 16. Lena Bloom. Lena Bloom made history in July 2021 when she became the first transgender woman to appear on the cover of Sports Illustrated's swimsuit issue. This was huge because Sports Illustrated has been around forever, and their swimsuit issue is kind of a big deal in American culture. Bloom looked absolutely stunning on the cover and inside the magazine. Before this historic moment, Bloom was already making waves in the modeling world. She had walked runways for various designers and appeared in campaigns for major brands. But getting on the cover of Sports Illustrated was like reaching the top of the mountain. It meant she had officially made it in mainstream modeling. What's beautiful about Bloom is how she talks about her achievements. When she posted about the Sports Illustrated cover on Instagram, she wrote about how we deserve this moment, and how transgender people have waited millions of years to show up as survivors and be seen as full humans filled with wonder. She has a way of making everything sound poetic and powerful. Bloom has also done some acting work, appearing in films and working on various creative projects. She's originally from the Philippines, but moved to the United States when she was young. Her multicultural background adds another layer to her identity and the representation she provides in the media. She has been open about her journey with transition and the challenges she faced along the way. But she always focuses on the positive aspects of her story: the growth, the self-discovery, the joy of finally being able to live authentically. Her optimism is infectious and inspiring. 17. Dominique Jackson. Dominique Jackson played Electra Abundance Evangelista on Pose, and she was absolutely fierce in that role. Electra was the former house mother who was glamorous, dramatic, and sometimes a little bit mean. But Jackson made her feel real and human. You could see all the pain and strength behind Electra's fabulous exterior. Jackson was born in Trinidad and Tobago, but moved to the United States when she was young. She has been performing and modeling for years, working her way up in the entertainment industry. When she got cast on Pose, it felt like all her hard work was finally paying off. What's interesting about Jackson is how she brings old-school glamour to everything she does. She possesses this classic Hollywood movie star quality that makes her stand out. Whether she's on the red carpet or just posting on social media, she always looks like she stepped out of a magazine. After Pose, Jackson appeared on the HBO Max reality show Legendary, which is all about ballroom culture. She also had a role on the Starz fantasy series American Gods, showing that she can do more than just drama. She is proving that she's a versatile actor who can handle different types of roles. 18. Laverne Cox. Laverne Cox is probably the most famous transgender actor in the world right now, and it all started with her role as Sophia Bursay on Orange is the New Black. Sophia was a transgender woman in prison, and Cox brought so much heart and complexity to the character. The show was already popular, but Cox's performance made it even more special. What's amazing about Cox is how many firsts she has achieved. In 2014, she became the first openly transgender person to be nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award. The next year, she became the first to win a Daytime Emmy. She was also the first openly transgender person to appear on the cover of Time magazine. These might sound like just statistics, but they represent real barriers being broken. Cox has used her fame to educate people about transgender issues, but she does it in a way that's accessible and engaging. She has appeared on talk shows, given speeches at universities, and written articles explaining what it's like to be a transgender woman in America. She never talks down to people or makes them feel stupid for not knowing something. Before she became an actor, Cox was working as a makeup artist and trying to break into the entertainment industry. She faced a lot of rejection and discrimination, but she kept pushing forward. Her persistence paid off when she finally got her big break on Orange is the New Black. Cox has also been involved in producing and creating content. She has worked on documentaries about transgender issues and has been developing various projects that center transgender stories. She's not just content to be an actor, she wants to be behind the camera too, telling stories that matter. 19. Angelica Ross. Angelica Ross played Candy Abundance on Pose, and she was absolutely captivating in that role. Candy was a transgender woman trying to make it in the modeling world, and Ross brought both strength and vulnerability to the character. She made Candy feel like a real person, not just a stereotype or a plot device. Ross started her career on the web series Her Story, which followed the lives of transgender women in Los Angeles. The series was groundbreaking because it was one of the first to center transgender women's experiences, and it even got an Emmy nomination. Ross was part of something special from the very beginning. What's cool about Ross is that she's not just an actor, she's also a tech entrepreneur. She founded a company called TransTech Social Enterprises, which helps transgender people get jobs in the technology industry. She saw a problem and decided to do something about it, which is pretty impressive. Ross has also appeared in American Horror Story, playing different characters in seasons 9 and 10. This showed that she could handle horror and thriller roles, not just drama. In addition to acting, Ross has been involved in various activism efforts. She has spoken at events and used her platform to advocate for transgender rights and equality. She's particularly focused on issues affecting transgender women of color who face unique challenges and discrimination. 20. Janet Mock. Janet Mock is a writer, director, and activist who has been fighting for LGBTQ+ rights for years. She made history by becoming the first transgender woman of color hired as a writer for a TV series when she joined the writing team for Pose. She also directed an episode of the show, which was another milestone. Mock wrote a memoir called Redefining Realness that tells her story of growing up transgender in Hawaii. The book was brutally honest and beautifully written, showing people what it's really like to navigate gender transition as a young person. It became a bestseller and helped a lot of people understand transgender experiences better. What's special about Mock is how she approaches storytelling. She has talked about how she doesn't want to just focus on the trauma and violence that transgender people face. Instead, she wants to show transgender people thriving and living full, complex lives. That's exactly what she did with Pose. She created characters who were more than just their struggles. Mock has also worked as a journalist, writing for various magazines and websites. She has covered everything from pop culture to politics, always bringing a unique perspective to her work. She's proof that transgender people can excel in any field, not just entertainment. Before all her success, Mock faced a lot of challenges. She has been open about her experiences with discrimination and violence, but she has always focused on how she overcame those obstacles. Which name surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. And if you're all about celebrating bold, inspiring stories, hit that like button and subscribe for more.